You know that feeling when you're sitting at your desk, staring at a task you know you should do, and you just can't? Your brain feels like it's wrapped in fog, your body feels heavy, and that voice in your head starts whispering, "You're just lazy." But here's what nobody tells you. What if I told you that voice is lying? What if the real problem isn't that you're lazy, it's that your brain is trying to protect you from something it perceives as a threat? Stay with me. Because in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you why everything you thought about procrastination and motivation is backwards, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let's be honest, you've tried everything. You've read the productivity books and downloaded the apps, tried the Pomodoro technique, time blocking, and accountability partners. And maybe it works for a day, maybe a week, but then you're right back where you started, scrolling, avoiding and feeling that familiar weight of shame. Here's the thing most people don't understand. Your brain isn't broken. It's actually doing exactly what it was designed to do. Think about it. When was the last time you procrastinated on something genuinely interesting? Something that challenged you in just the right way? Probably never, but put a boring, repetitive task in front of you. Your brain shuts down like it's been hit with a tranquilizer dart. That's not laziness. That's understimulation. And your brain is protecting you from what it perceives as a cognitive threat, the mental equivalent of starvation. But society doesn't see it that way. Society sees someone who isn't producing and makes a judgment, lazy, unmotivated, lacking discipline. We've built an entire culture around the idea that if you just pushed harder, wanted it more, had more willpower, you'd get it done. And when you don't, the problem must be you, your character, your work ethic, your worth as a person. This narrative is everywhere, in school, at work, even in the self-help industry that's supposed to be helping you. Just do it, hustle harder, no excuses. To be clear, this isn't just wrong, it's actively harmful. Because when you internalize this belief, when you start seeing yourself as fundamentally lazy, something dangerous happens. You stop trying to understand what's actually going on. You stop looking for real solutions. You just give up, and the cycle deepens. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. You have what researchers call a challenge-seeking system. It's the part of your brain that craves novelty, complexity, and meaningful difficulty. When this system is activated, when you're working on something challenging but achievable, your brain releases dopamine. You feel energized, focused, alive. But when is the challenge too low? When the task is boring, repetitive, or meaningless, your challenge-seeking system doesn't just go quiet, it actively rebels. It's not that you can't do the task, it's that your brain is screaming, "This is a waste of our cognitive resources." Think of it like this: your brain is a race car engine. It's built for speed, for complexity, for challenge, and you're asking it to idle in a parking lot. Of course, it's going to stall out. This isn't laziness. This is your brain trying to protect you from cognitive atrophy, from boredom so profound it feels like a physical threat. And once you understand this, once you see that what you've been calling laziness is actually your mind's protection mechanism, everything changes. Not because the problem goes away, but because now you're solving the right problem. Let me tell you why this reframe isn't just semantic, it's everything. When you think you're lazy, you try to fix yourself with discipline, with willpower, with shame, and none of it works because you're not addressing the actual issue. When you understand you're understimulated, you can start asking better questions. What about this task is boring my brain into submission? How can I add complexity or novelty? What would make this challenging enough to engage my challenge-seeking system? This shift from I'm broken to I'm bored is profound. Because boredom has solutions, laziness just has judgment. And here's what's wild: the research backs this up. Studies on ADHD, on creative professionals, on high-intelligence individuals, they all point to the same thing. Understimulation triggers the same avoidance behaviors we label as laziness. Your brain isn't defective. It's actually doing something incredibly intelligent. It's saying, this task doesn't deserve our full cognitive capacity. Let's conserve resources for something that matters. The problem is, in modern life, we're surrounded by tasks that don't stimulate us but still need to get done. So what do? Here's your first strategy, and it's going to sound counterintuitive. Stop trying to make boring tasks interesting. Instead, build a complexity portfolio. Here's how it works. Your brain needs a certain amount of cognitive stimulation each day. Think of it like a daily nutrient requirement. If you're spending 8 hours on low-stimulation tasks, you're running a massive cognitive deficit. And your brain will rebel through procrastination, through distraction, through what looks like laziness. The solution: deliberately design high-challenge activities into your day. I call this the 30 to 70 rule. Aim for 30% of your day to be cognitively demanding, complex problem-solving, creative work, learning something genuinely difficult. The other 70% can be lower stimulation maintenance tasks, but here's the key: front-load the complex work. When you start your day with high-challenge activities, you satisfy your challenge-seeking system early. You give your brain the dopamine hit it's craving, and suddenly those boring tasks later in the day, they don't trigger the same rebellion because your brain has already gotten what it needs. It's not about making every task exciting. It's about feeding your brain enough complexity that it stops fighting you on the simple stuff. Practical example: if you're a writer who has to do administrative work, don't save the creative writing for after you've answered emails. Write first. Challenge your brain first, then the emails become easy, because your cognitive tank is full. Second strategy: turn boring tasks into an idea factory. Your brain hates repetition, but it loves pattern recognition and creative connection making. So use boring tasks as background processing time for complex problems. Here's what I mean. When you're doing something mindless, folding laundry, data entry, cleaning, your prefrontal cortex isn't fully engaged. Most people try to zone out, listen to music, dissociate, but there's a better way. Deliberately load a complex question into your mind before you start the boring task, something you're genuinely curious about, a problem you're trying to solve, a creative project you're working on. Then let your mind chew on it while your hands do the mindless work. This technique is called diffuse mode thinking, and it's how some of the biggest breakthroughs happen. Einstein didn't solve relativity by staring harder at equations. He solved it while taking walks, while doing mundane activities, because his mind was working on the problem in the background. You're doing the same thing. You're hijacking the boring task and using it as processing time for something your brain actually cares about. Suddenly, folding laundry isn't just folding laundry. It's a 20-minute incubation period for your next big idea. And here's what's beautiful: your brain stops resisting the boring task because it's no longer boring. It's serving a higher cognitive purpose. Try this tomorrow. Before you start your most mundane task, load a fascinating question into your mind. Watch what happens. Third strategy: use the challenge matrix. This is a simple framework that will change how you approach every task. Draw a 2x2 grid. On one axis, challenge level low to high. On the other axis, importance low to high. Now plot your tasks. Most people have tons of tasks in the low challenge, high importance quadrant. These are the killers, the ones that trigger the most procrastination. Because your brain is screaming, this is important, but also this is boring as hell. Here's your strategy for each quadrant: high challenge, high importance. Do these first. Always, these are your golden tasks. They engage your challenge-seeking system and move your life forward. High challenge, low importance. These are your learning tasks. They're not urgent, but they keep your brain sharp. Schedule these for when you need a cognitive boost. Low challenge, high importance. This is where most people get stuck. Here's the trick: batch them. Do all of them in one focused block after you've done your high challenge work. Your brain will cooperate because it's already been fed. Low challenge, low importance. Automate, delegate, or delete. Seriously, if it's both boring and unimportant, why are you doing it? The power of this matrix is it makes your avoidance visible. When you see that you're spending 80% of your time in the low challenge, high importance quadrant, you understand exactly why you're struggling. It's not laziness, it's cognitive starvation. And now you can redesign your day accordingly. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but I don't have control over my tasks. My boss assigns them. My life requires them. I get it. Not every task can be redesigned. But here's the thing: you have more control than you think. Even if you can't change the tasks themselves, you can change the order you do them in. You can change what you're thinking about while doing them. You can change how you batch them. Small adjustments to your cognitive diet create massive changes in your motivation. And to be clear, I'm not saying you'll never have to do boring things. I'm saying you can stop beating yourself up for struggling with them, and you can start using strategies that actually work with your brain instead of against it. Look, if you've made it this far, you're not lazy. Lazy people don't watch 11-minute videos about cognitive science and productivity strategies. You're someone who's been trying to solve the wrong problem with the wrong tools, and that's not your fault. You were told the problem was discipline, willpower, character, but the real problem was understimulation, cognitive mismatch. A brain that's desperate for challenge is being fed a diet of repetition. Now you know. And knowing changes everything, because you can't solve a problem you don't understand. But once you see it clearly, once you recognize your brain's protection mechanism for what it is, you can work with it, not against it, with it. Here's my challenge to you tomorrow. Try just one of these strategies, not all three, just one. Build 30 minutes of high challenge work into your morning, or load a complex question before a boring task. Or map your tasks on the challenge matrix, just one, and notice what happens. Notice how your brain responds when you feed it what it's actually hungry for. I think you'll be surprised. If this video helped you see your laziness differently, do me a favor, hit that like button so more people can find this. And if you want more strategies for working with your brain instead of against it, subscribe. I make videos like this every week. Drop a comment and tell me which strategy are you going to try first. I'll see you in the next one.